everyone, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be testing out some very interesting looking watercolor paints. For any of you who've been following me for a while, you know I am obsessed with watercolor, though I'm not particularly talented at it. I picked up this palette of what they call Pearlescent watercolor paints from Five Below for $5. Now, they definitely look somewhat metallic or like satiny kind of in the pan, but I'm actually really interested to see how they go on the paper. So I made the investment, I got some nice brushes, and I am ready to kind of see if this is really worth buying or if I can make anything cool out of it. So I have two sheets of paper here. One I'm just going to swatch on, and the other I'm going to actually try maybe creating a piece of artwork with it. So yeah, I guess we'll probably just line this up like that and start swatching the colors. Let's start with this one in the top corner. It's kind of like a minty blue. It's definitely coming off on the brush. So let's see how it swatches. So definitely watercolory. I don't know if I want to actually try to kind of make these square or not. It seems pretty much like, kind of like that Metropolitan Museum of Art watercolor paint set that I have, but I guess we'll have to kind of wait till it dries to see how pearlescent it is. So I guess let's just keep rolling. I think I'm gonna go back around and maybe do this dark one last. I kind of don't really like the way that this is set up at all because, I don't know, I feel like I kind of have to go looking around for the right color. Whereas if they had, you know, all the reds and pinks and oranges together and all the blues and greens and purples together, this might be a little more aesthetically pleasing to look at. Though I will say, I think this top corner one, or the middle corner one, this silver one like fell out of the pan when I first bought it. Oh yeah, there it is. So maybe I could rearrange them myself, but that just seems like a whole mess of work that I really don't want to do. And I don't know. Honestly, this not put together very great, but I don't know. Let's just kind of keep rolling, and if more of them start popping out, then it might be worth the effort. But just for the one, I think I might just kind of keep rolling. So I'm gonna try to speed through some of this, and I'll return when everything is dry. So it's pretty obvious to me that these colors don't really seem to have a whole lot of shine on them, especially like the first ones. These are totally dry. The ones on the bottom are still kind of wet, and those are as shiny as they look, but I don't really notice any pearlescence almost at all. And definitely some colors are better than others. This one in the top corner right there, I don't know what that is. It looks weird in the pan, it looks weird on the page. This pink came out really poorly. The lighter colors really just in general come out very, very poorly, which I think is pretty common with a lot of the watercolors I've used. It's easier to kind of have that like deeper, darker color and then be able to build it up, kind of like the black is right now. You can see where it's layered. It definitely has a lot more color to it, and it still looks black. I don't know, these don't seem that pearlescent, but they do seem usable. Obviously, this is the white. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but I feel like that'll probably be the best show of whether or not it's pearlescent. I mean, I guess when you flip it the right way on the page, it does kind of shine a bit. But I don't know if that's because it's pearlescent. Oh, I don't know. I'm kind of iffy. I don't think it's as obvious as I was anticipating. I don't know. I'm gonna make my piece, and then I guess we'll see how I feel about it then. This is my final piece. I tried to use quite a few colors. I didn't really get to use a whole bunch of blues, but I did try to incorporate some of these blue greens. I really wish I would have done this in a brown or even maybe a different color, because I think the black almost looks a little too harsh. It looks more gray in person, but on camera it really looks like black. I don't totally hate it, and I think as I was kind of starting to work with it a little more and I was using the brush that it came with, first of all, I definitely see some kind of like twinkly magic going on in this cup here, which is kind of fun in and of itself. But also I noticed as I was touching this first like brown color that I used here, and I kind of tried to show, but it was hyperlapsed, so it probably wasn't super obvious, but when it's like just wet enough but not so wet that it almost feels more like an acrylic, like thicker paint than it does a watercolor. And up close, come on, focus for me, there we go, you can kind of see how much shinier it looks. Trying to get like a nice good layer of it on the brush so it's as visible as possible. There we go. So it definitely does have kind of that shiny pearlescent texture to it. I think the purples are the most obvious with it. You can definitely see that, and definitely this blue. The black definitely not as shiny, but I mean you can tell that they're kind of being reflective. The red, not so much. The pinks, like this kind of, which color did I use for that? This one I think is the color behind the reds. And I used both of these pinks for the tinier flowers, and the purple like berry lavender stuff came from this guy and this guy. And honestly, in the pan, those are the ones that look the most pearlescent. This is the red that I used for the flowers. The yellow, also not super shiny, and you can tell it's not that crazy in the pan either. Overall, I think this is a really cool effect. I can see maybe wanting to use this for some very like specific pieces in the future, and if it's as thick going down as I feel like it does, I'd really like to try this maybe on some black paper and see if that makes a difference. But overall, I'm actually surprisingly impressed with this. I really like the color, and I think the thickness really makes it go down nicely, but I can still kind of even it out like I would with regular watercolor. So surprisingly cool palette, $5 at Five Below, and if it's something you're interested in, I definitely think I would recommend it. So with that said, thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, you can come back next Sunday for another crafty or artsy video, and hopefully I will be seeing you then. Bye-bye.